now on this Friday afternoon, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff and a Fox News contributor. Karl, I can't imagine you have anything to say about this. The DNC unburdened by what has been, writes the Washington Post. If the report remains under seal, it's hard to see how lessons gleaned from more than 300 interviews across all 50 states will be learned by down-ballot campaigns in 2026. Democrats believe that Trump's unpopularity creates a favorable enough political environment for them to win big in next year's midterms. But being anti-Trump was not enough for them in 2024, and it may not be enough to take back the White House in 3 years. So why keep this under seal, Karl, and not learn from it?
Well, first of all, John's absolutely right. A good coach examines what kind of mistakes you made in the game, and the team has to confront those mistakes and change. And this is an opportunity for the Democratic team to confront the mistakes and not repeat them. But think about what they don't want to talk about. Supposedly, people don't want to release it because they're going to have to deal with the question of Biden's decision to run again. That was a key mistake for the Democrats. Kamala Harris made lots of mistakes in her campaign. Like, remember the famous episode with The View where she couldn't come up with one thing that she would have done differently? The quality of the Democratic get out the vote effort apparently comes in for severe criticism in the rough draft of this. And finally, they'd have to answer the question of how did they end up in debt? They had $1.5 billion raised in the 107 days of Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, and yet they ended up in debt. In fact, today, the Republican National Committee has $92 million cash on hand and no debt. The Democratic National Committee has roughly $19 million on cash on hand and $15 million in debt. So you cannot solve a problem unless you describe what the problem is and your team has a conversation about what needs to be done differently.
Well, former senior Obama advisor Dan Pfeiffer is not a fan of keeping this document sealed, or the 2024 report, I should say. He says the fact that they're refusing to release this report is a mind-boggling, stupid decision that suggests the party may have learned no lessons from the recent past. Meanwhile, James Carville also has this warning for his party. Listen.
I wrote a book saying the Democrats were destined to win for 40 more years because, look, the young people, we had the under 30, we had the non-whites, and that was a growing coalition, and that would win elections. It's what I call political Presbyterianism, that elections are ordained, that you can just put something in the computer and it'll spit out the percent you're going to get. It turned out that was a really, really stupid assumption.
You think his party's listening, Karl?
No, I don't think so. Because look, here's why. The Democrats won New Jersey and Virginia and some special elections around the country. They overperformed in Tennessee 7. They don't want to rehash the history because the history ain't good for them. They want to focus on Trump, and I think it's absolutely right. Focusing on Trump alone in the coming election is going to be enough for them to win what they would otherwise win if they describe to us what they were about. And finally, they think to themselves, everything is going to be all right. All we got to do is keep doing what we're doing. And that's not the way politics works. The Democrats had better confront their problems or they're going to continue to lose races that they would otherwise win.
And perhaps it continues to create opportunity for Republicans and the conservative movement. This is Erica Kirk pointing out young voters. This is during the Turning Point USA event yesterday. Listen.
1/3 of the attendees are students. 54% are female attendees. You came here to meet other people, to know that you're not in this fight alone. Students, raise your hands. Out of those students, put your hand up if you're in high school. Okay, all of you. I love it. I love my high schoolers.
Maybe that'll be a wake-up call, Karl.
Well, it better be, because as James wrote in his book, I think it was co-authored with Paul Begala, the Democratic Party believed that it had the coalition of what they called the ascendant, non-whites, younger voters, urban voters, and they have lost now presidential elections in 2016 and in 2024, despite the fact that that coalition was supposed to govern for the next 40 years, and they lost control of the House of Representatives in 2010. and then lost it again in 2022. So, yeah, the Democrats, parties need to confront their mistakes, and they need to have an honest conversation with themselves, and more importantly, the voters who are not necessarily partisans but are up for grabs in the election. Swing voters want to understand, did you realize why you lost my vote, and are you going to do better at getting it next time around? So as a Republican and a conservative, I'm all for them not releasing the report, because that process, that's going to hinder that process. But as Democrats ought to be concerned about it, as Pfeiffer is, because it's a stupid, stupid mistake not to be honest with the voters, and starting with the people in your own party.
I was going to say, and not to be honest with yourselves, even with your own leadership. Karl, always great to have you, whiteboard and all. Thank you so much, sir. Good to have you.